With Greenworks, life gets easier.
The biggest online seller is increasing its bet on house brands. CBS's Vicki Barker has the story.
Amazon customers who may already buy its Pins on Linens and Elements baby wipes will soon be able to order own brand foods. The Wall Street Journal reports the online retail giant is launching a range of perishables, including nuts, trail mix, tea, and cooking oil. The private label products will initially only be available to Amazon Prime members. Store brands brought in nearly $120 billion last year. It's clear Amazon wants a bigger piece of that pie. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
In Massachusetts, you text, you pay. By the state's count, more than 6,000 drivers were ticketed for texting behind the wheel last year. That was up from around 1,100 in 2011, the first full year the no texting law was in effect. Men and drivers under 40 were the most likely to get caught. The time between 4 and 6 p.m. was the busiest period for texting tickets. Frank Sedapani, CBS News.
Hi, got any tires?
There's no such thing as any tires here. Only the exact right tires for your vehicle, because this is Ford Service and we're the specialist.
But I get a choice, right?
We have 13 name brands, tires you can trust, with a low price tire guarantee.
Okay.
I'm putting my tire specialist on this case, codename Treads.
He has a code name?
He's forgotten more about tires than the rest of us will ever know. And he hasn't forgotten anything.
I'll remember that.
He's got high-performance tires, all-season tires, low-rolling resistance efficiency tires.
I get the picture.
Don't interrupt me, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I've only got one word for you, my friend. Rebate.
Get a $60 rebate by mail on 4 select tires, plus another $60 rebate when you use the Ford Service credit card. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Competitive ad required for tire guarantee within 30 days. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/16.
Ford parts, Ford tools, Ford techs. When your Ford needs service, you need the specialist.
I am very good at introductions. Stepping out.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the beginning of a way of living. It's Younger Life.
All right, welcome to another great installment of Younger Life. Happy Monday. I'm Rick Federici.
And I'm Mary Anthony.
It is great to see you. How was the weekend?
It's nice to see you too. You were off. We missed you on Friday. We had a great weekend. Busy and, not wonderful weather, but oh well. It is what it is.
Hats off to young Jackie and Sanders and you for pulling it together. A phenomenal job. I got to listen via the free TuneIn Radio app.
Great.
Via the radio group that we work with, WIMS AM 1420. YouTube.com right now if you want to see us. And that's almost a scary thing for me. Now you?
Me too.
You're a good look.
No, please. Me too. That's scary.
Now, we have a really cool show lined up, and we've got a bunch of great shows. We're going to talk about those at the back end of today's event. But let's chat a little bit about, you took it on the road with the Younger Life crew, Steve Elkins, and it was funny.
I just was the witness in the back. It was nice. There was an event at LaPorte Hospital that they, it was a presentation and where they had partnered with the foundation as well as EMS and donated some AEDs, which are the automated external defibrillators. So, it's important. They went to schools and I think a local university
about
too.
Developing this show.
We have Marina Fruth from LaPorte Hospital going to be joining us Skype, and she can tell us a little bit about more about how it kind of came to be. But it was very interesting to watch and listen. And then there was a testimony by a gentleman whose life was saved by one. So we'll play that in a little while. But we want to talk to Maria.
Story.
It's really good,
Awesome.
and it's terrifying and sad as a parent and as a community to think about student athletes. Again, these were donated to schools for a reason. There are laws changing and stuff, trying to make sure that these are available anywhere near sports arenas or courts or fields. And it's so important because you just don't know. And a lot of times, as much as we talk about preventative health, sometimes there's just nothing you can do to detect a problem until it is there.
The story that you're going to hear is just that a great example. We won't tell you about it, but I will say it's one of those things that really makes your heart melt.
Absolutely.
And
it's scary.
You really think it is. As a parent, grandparent, family members, you have to watch this stuff. And I think the message here is truly, and I love that the foundation and LaPorte Hospital and all these great partners have come together, which you'll see in a moment, to do this. But I think this should be everywhere, just my opinion on a lot of this stuff.
I do too. And I think that is the ultimate goal. And that's what I found the most interesting fact in listening to them speaking at this presentation was that, the goal really ultimately is to make our community safer. And it's a good point.
All right. So let's, without further ado, pull in Maria Fruth.
Please.
We're going to chat with her. We're going to watch the piece after Maria explains a little bit about that. Then Dr. Leva is going to come back after the piece and chat with us about the clinical impact of these AEDs, which I'm absolutely so interested in. I love everybody that's going to join us. So let's jump over to the Star VIP hotline this hour, brought to you by LaPorte Hospital. Maria, welcome to the show, and how are you? It's a great day.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing well, and it's a lovely day outside.
That's right. Nice to see the sun.
Thank you, and we appreciate your time today, Maria. Let's chat a little bit. Explain to our Younger Life audience a little bit about, what we just kind of described to them, and tell us a little bit about what we need to know, please, about these defibrillators.
Sure. I'm going to go way back on the very beginning of the history of the foundation. The LaPorte Hospital Foundation was started by the community members, board members, the then CEO of the hospital, Lee Morris, in 1978. And in 1979, the first gift that the foundation gave to the community and to the hospital, can you believe, was a defibrillator.
Really?
So we have come full circle. For all those years, we have had great interest in assisting the hospital and the community, making sure that we do have all the resources available for anything related to your heart. We say it in a more simplistic way because it's a little easier for the community to understand. We have had a heart fund, and that translates in all the different efforts from the cardiovascular to the athlete, that we are concerned about making sure that they have AEDs available in schools.
Wow.
So that's the beginning story. Should I go on?
Please do.
We love this.
I think that's fascinating.
Great information.
Okay. So through the years, again, since I think 1997 maybe, we continue to identify the areas. We, of course, work very closely with the folks at the hospital. Patty Larson, that was our nurse educator, brought forth to the foundation the need to continue to add AEDs throughout the hospital. So that was our first, step towards funding AEDs for every area of the hospital. The second stage of that was identifying all the locations that we have physicians, that we have services, wellness, rehab, and again, making sure that AEDs were available, and those were funded by the foundation. Translation, by the community, by the donors of our hospital foundation. So we now are at this stage of, we have been very fortunate to have two fantastic physicians on our board of directors, Dr. Stacy Leva and Dr. Sarah Bancroft, and they brought to the table, Dr. Bancroft especially, the need to continue to look at on the outside. Let's look at every school, especially the schools that have a lot of sports. And as you can imagine, there are schools like the Port School System that not only have their main building, but their football field is 2-3 blocks away. I think it's 2 blocks away. And then their tennis courts and their soccer areas are farther down the line instead of Cascade Park. So there is a need to just have several AGs. And it's not just having one, because the goal here is to have one within 3 minutes of every one of those major areas that are hosting events, from your civic auditorium to your sports arena to your major, stores
Right.
that a lot of people go to. And through the research, actually, I learned a fact that's quite interesting. Golf courses are one of the areas that we should really focus on.
That's an
And
awesome point. Yeah.
too. So lots of needs, and we have been trying to identify through the years, and very fortunate to have been able to just purchase several. We just had the celebration of 10 AEDs to 7 different schools.
Yes.
What was the
Fantastic.
what was the response on that, Maria, from the schools and the parents and the businesses, those that were able to get that, the 7 schools out of the 10? What was the response on that? I'm sure it was awesome, but I just would love to hear your insight on that if you wouldn't mind.
All of them were very excited. All the schools were very excited. And of course, I haven't heard from the parents directly, but being a parent myself of 3 young men that played several sports, throughout their school years, I would have been delighted that this is something we're paying attention to.
Absolutely.
And as an example, my son that was a runner for cross country and track here in LaPorte, we had an incident in Valparaiso at one point several years ago. And I was delighted that they happened to have an ambulance close by at a cross country meet. But again, it is just a need to make sure that we're providing the tools, not only to the first responders, but also to the people around us.
Yes.
The AEDs, if I can learn, remember, I'm not a clinical person. If I can open one and just follow the instructions, I am sure anyone else can do it.
That's a great point.
And that is a very simple procedure, and they talk to you. And the value of having them available so the community can help the community is very important.
That's a great point about the training. That's what I would like to know, Maria. Is this a situation where all of the coaches will be trained to use, or is this where the school trainer, I know a lot of schools have athletic trainers, will they be the ones that are trained and then they can teach coaches? How does the training work with that?
Dr. Bancroft has created a plan, which Dr. Leva will be speaking of,
Oh, okay.
of education. That's extremely important. And yes, you're correct on that. The athletic trainers in the different schools hopefully will be, not only teaching the students under them, but also the coaches. And there are different ways of approaching this. And they have a plan of action to make sure that people are exposed and know the location of each one
Yeah.
of those AEDs.
Very
Because
important.
it doesn't help to put something on a wall and not touch for years. What about your battery? How to maintain is extremely important.
Right.
How to make sure that people are aware of the location. And, that's why we also work with the EMS. This collaboration has been very helpful to all of us. And the EMS in the community is incredible to be able to assist us in identifying not only locations where they are, but also collecting all the information that we need as the new AEDs come into place, and kind of standardizing, the approach throughout the LaPorte County.
Well, thank you.
But yes, Dr. Lev will talk to you a little bit more about, the collaboration and the training, and again, the need for the different areas to have the AEDs and why.
Yeah,
I'll
I
let her
think
do that part, okay?
that sounds great, and I appreciate that discussion that will come too. Before you tell us where these went, could you tell us how the schools were selected? How were they chosen to receive one?
That's a very good point. The schools were selected through Dr. Bancroft and athletic trainers' efforts. They identified, well, first of all, the inventory, all the AEDs in a particular school that we have athletic trainers, and they brought back to the group. We have a group that meets every so often to identify the needs and to make sure that we're procuring the appropriate AEDs. So they brought back the locations that they felt needed to have one.
Okay.
So I'll read it so I don't skip one of the schools.
Okay.
LaPorte High School is receiving 1. New Prairie High School actually, I think, received 3. And North Judson, Westview High School, Knox, South Central, Purdue North Central, and Indiana University Northwestern. Those are places that we have athletic trainers associated with LaPorte Hospital. And after the inventory, they identified the holes. It could be that they do have some, I'm not aware of how many they have.
Right.
But that inventory is put together purposely to be able to say, you remember my example of LaPorte school system. You may have inside of the building, but that building is enormous. And the goal is to have one, inaccessible within 3 minutes of a need. Hopefully, we're never going to need it, but better to be prepared than to be sorry. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And once they identify the locations, that's how they suggested, and we selected the 10 that we bought this time.
I see.
It's great. I was going to throw out there too. You had mentioned golf courses, and I could, as soon as you said that, I'm like, wow, that is something that would be definitely needed because there are so many men and women and families that are out there, doing different things like that. Is there going to be, as we move through the next several years and as we move towards, the future, is there going to be potentially more added to the area? Like, is there going to be a list every year of like X amount of people? Is that the goal, Maria? Or how would that work? Could folks help out and sponsor these or donate? How would that work?
Well, we have a very ambitious plan. The plan starts by identifying where are the AEDs throughout the community. And if you go to the EMS website, there is actually a form in there. If you happen to be, let's use the example of a daycare center, and you have one in your facility, or a manufacturer, or an office, that you feel that there is a need to have. If you have one, please go to the EMS site and make sure that we're, quote unquote, registering your AED. So the first responders know where they are. The community is alerted to locations, and it helps us to identify the locations that are open, not covered. So Dr. Lava will talk to you about a plan that we're hoping it, will come to fruition very quickly here. That's being done. It's a research that she involved some students from Carnegie Mellon to be able to identify, map the locations of the AEDs, and then again, where are the voids, the holes?
Right.
So pick an area in LaPorte County. Again, just as an example, assume that the Walmart area where we have different business has none, which, by the way, it's not a statement, it's just an example. So what is the volume of people that go there? How many times the EMS responds in that particular area for something associated to cardiac arrest or whatever, it's related to it. So with that information, with the data, if you talk to Dr. Love, you're going to hear that the first thing she tells you is, where's the data? We'll be able to fill those holes throughout the community and continue this program to one day say, wow, LaPorte County is completely covered. And we're very proud that we have been able to bring everybody around the table to do so. And yes, you can continue to donate, be an annual gift to the LaPorte Hospital Foundation. You could specify that you would like to send that to the Heart Fund. You can participate in some of our different events. There are many different ways that you can support the foundation. And again, it's my old saying, I use it every so often, it takes the whole village. This is a great example of it takes the whole village.
It certainly does. It certainly does. Thank you so much. I actually was at the celebration, the event, and I really enjoyed that talk and thought it was moving and very important. So thank you so much, Maria, for joining us.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome. After, I leave, if Dr. Love is going to come and talk to you guys
Fabulous.
for a few minutes, okay?
We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
See you at Tour de LaPorte. We love you.
Hey, I'll see you at the Tour de LaPorte. Go online and sign up.
That's
All right. You
right.
got it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. So
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So before Dr. Leva
Sure.
comes on, should we go ahead and play the
Yeah, this would
testimony
be
I was
great.
talking
Yeah,
about?
let's do this. And then, of course, here on Younger Life. So youtube.com if you want to scope it out. We've got the podcast. But this is the piece that Maria was just describing, of course.
Right, they had a gentleman
Mary
at
Anthony
the,
was there. Yeah,
at
this
the
is great.
event that kind of told his first account of his story that happened, and his life was saved by an AED. So it's important, and I think it does it perfectly. So, Jackie, would you mind if we could go ahead and start it? Good deal. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's good to see you all here today. I just wanted to take a moment before we get started to ask everybody to think for a second. As we all sit here, our hearts are beating without us really even knowing it. It's just happening on its own. Our hearts are taking 24/7 to keep us moving. And a lot of times we don't even think about it. So before we get started, I'd like to ask everybody just to take a quick moment and answer this question for yourself silently. What is the reason for your rhythm? I know the reason for my rhythm. It's my family, it's my friends, it's the great outdoors, it's pizza. I live for pizza. But for the most part, you know, we all have a reason why we're here, and I think that's really the whole purpose of this collective and why we're here today. As you think about the reason, I'd like to invite you to visit the little education table that you passed on the way in. There's something out there called a free heart cart screening coupon. The Heart Cart is our community's most comprehensive, most profound way to screen for cardiac disease and possibly free a chance for sudden cardiac death. It is, with support of the foundation, 100% free to the community. If you haven't done one, I would encourage you to try one out. It's quick, easy, and painless. It is conducted by the highly skilled professionals of our Heart and Vascular Center. And again, it is our most profound tool for really eradicating sudden cardiac disease here in our community. So please do check out the Heart Cart, pass it along to your friends and family if you've already had one yourself. So next I'd like to introduce someone who many of you may know from his role as account executive at one of our community's most beloved community newspapers and printers. It's the Beecher. I've known Drew White since sometime, I think in the 1990s when we worked together in the newspaper industry. And even though he's an IU fan, I still have a tremendous amount of respect for Drew. It is a long-standing rivalry, and I still respect him for it. But I especially, for agreeing to share your story publicly about not only how AEDs are important, but also, what having quality care means in our community means to us. So without further ado, I know the reason for Drew's rhythm is here as well as Dr. Matthew. Join him, but Drew White, please join us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'd like to thank the hospital for inviting me to tell my quick story. December 2nd, 2007, just about 4 or 5 blocks from here at LaPorte High School, the field house. I was officiating a YMCA basketball game. About 5 minutes into the game, I was running down the court, and the next thing I know, I'm on a bed inside the emergency room here in the hospital. Staring up at the light, I've got an oxygen mask on my face, and I'm wondering, did I miss something? And literally, from running down the court to laying in a hospital bed. I had fallen victim to sudden cardiac death. I can't account for about half an hour, 45 minutes in my life. It's about the spread of time from the time that I lost consciousness to consciousness. After the fact, I went back and talked to various people who had helped me. There were actually 2 nurses from here at the hospital who happened to be watching their daughters in the game that I was playing with, and basically those 2, along with many other bystanders who all did their various jobs, were able to save me. I was shocked approximately, I believe it was 3 times. They shocked me initially. The EMS, I believe, shocked me 2 more times. And basically, I had no pulse. I was a shade of blue that's normally reserved for Smurfs. I asked one of the nurses who was now a nurse practitioner here in the hospital, Tracy Blanton, I asked her, said, was there at any point when this was all going down that you thought I just wasn't going to make it? And she basically said, well, there were many moments in that half hour that I didn't think you were going to make it. And so they kept going, and the word lucky gets thrown around quite a bit, but not only to survive where I was, the odds are very, very small. It's even smaller to survive it without any brain damage or anything. And of course, I'd be remiss not to tell the Indiana University angle to this. December 2nd, 2007 was also the day that they were announcing bowl bids. Now, if anybody knows, Indiana football and bowl games don't go together too often. Okay? I had gone to school in Bloomington, and I swore that the first time that IU would play a bowl game, I would be there. So anyway, the entire day leading up to this, I was sitting here, any information I could get about where Indiana was going to be playing in the bowl game, I wanted to know. But I had agreed to do this basketball game. That was the one thing on my mind, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, am I going to Detroit? Am I going to Arizona? Or am I going to California? And I need to know. All right. So anyway, I'm laying in the emergency room. They've already told me my wife is there, so I've got the family. My daughter Natalie over here was just shy of 1 year old. I knew that they were there, but I believe there's a protocol that they were going to start asking me questions to kind of gauge, whether there was anything amiss. And they said, "Is there anything that you feel that you need?" And the first words out of my mouth were, "Yes, I need to know where Indiana University is playing in their bowl game." To which the nurse that had the clipboard with the questions just kind of tossed it off to the side, and they said, "He's fine." The cardiologist said, "I don't know where they're going, but the Bears just won by 5. Long story short, in order for me to survive what I went through, my mom actually died under similar circumstances. At one moment, she was laughing. The next moment, I turned around and she was on the ground. We were actually having an open house at our house. I was 13 years old at that point. She never came back. It was about 25 to 30 minutes before there was anyone there that could shock her. I have to believe that was a big difference. I got shocked within a minute or two. She didn't get shocked at all. She didn't make it. She died very young, 52 years old. But, we sit here and we say lucky. You have to admit that being prepared also had a big part to do in me being lucky. LaPorte Hospital having access to that AED saved my life. And it just goes to show that getting as many of these machines as we possibly can out into the community is only going to help us make more people have the chance to be as lucky as I was. But I think it's a great thing that we're able to do this. I always joke, I'm actually the girls golf coach at Michigan City High School, and so we always joke about it, and I'm always the resident cardiac patient, but the athletic trainers are always like, "All right, Andrew, if you need it, I got the thing," but I always say, "Well, I'm already packing mine," because it was just about a month ago I was in the arrhythmia center here getting my second defibrillator, so I'm always protecting myself. But I'd like to thank Stacy for inviting me to tell the story today, and thank you very much, everyone, for the work that you're doing to help make our community a safer place.
Wow. Unbelievable, the whole story.
It is good. And, I love that he points out, it's such a sad story in the fact that his mother died in such a similar fashion.
Sad.
And he was only 13. But, I love that he says, obviously right in your face, he said, the AED had to be what made the difference. I have to give it credit for that, because he said, with his mother, it was at least 30 minutes before the EMS came for her to be able to be shocked.
And a lot of people, unless you know of him, and I knew it was Drew because you and I were chatting, but Drew is a well-known sports writer, sports guy, does events around the area, well-liked, you know what I mean? So
he was a very nice guy. It was so cute. He had his daughter there with.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
it's just, that is very scary. I mean, just in general, that's scary.
I would love to get input from Drew on, he did do a great job of explaining, but also the next level. How has it changed his life?
Right.
What does he do to prevent, potential things, of course, there, which I think is...
right. What does he do now to make sure to try to keep that heart healthy and checkups? And, with his own children, he would be very fascinating to talk to in here one day just to find out how does he, you've got to be paranoid.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to be paranoid then for your kids and for everybody else just because you're just afraid, but.
Well, and I'll throw this out there
good.
to you as a father, and just you hear his story about, and you had chatted with me, and then we had watched the piece leading into the show about how his mom was behind him, you know what I'm saying, as a young boy. I couldn't imagine. That's got to be tough, because it's tough on a lot of us that have gone through death. A lot of us have. Pretty much all of us in some way have been affected by that. But I couldn't imagine that. And then also, X years later, he's still a young guy with his own daughter.
This was in 2007, so this has been a while. I think that's when he said it was. Yeah, 2007. So, you think it's been years. He was a very young guy, and so that is crazy and scary.
You were there obviously during the live taping. Thank you to Steve Elkins and the crew that were out there, and Brendan and Maddie. But tell me what the vibe was. Was there an aura in the room? It
was very quiet.
Yeah.
Everybody just realizes, wow. I mean, he said he was reffing a kid's YMCA basketball game. I mean, my own kids have participated in that.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
It's not that big of a deal, and that he just collapsed and turned blue, and thank God someone ran and got an AED, and he said he received his first shock within the first couple minutes, and that was really, and then once EMS came and he was shocked again, but it made all the difference. Clearly, he has no lasting effects as far as mental, medical issues or mental actually deficiencies either. That's always a concern when you've been out of oxygen. He said he was Smurf color blue, so it was just, he was great natured about the story, but it's definitely scary business. And again, that's a kind of a condition you're not going to realize until you literally are the one that collapses and are laying down. So
now Dr. Stacy Leva is supposed to be joining us.
She's going to join us. Let me see if she's ready. Let's see.
You know what, and I want to hear about this, because I really want to know too about the clinical impacts. Can we pull up, if you wouldn't mind, Jackie, to see on Skype if we can see if Doc is there? She's there.
Yay, there she is. That's a good deal.
Dr. Stacy Leva, how
Hi,
are you?
Good morning.
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Always great when we see you. I always think when we connect with you on so many levels here with Younger Life, you're always energized, you're always happy. And the last time we were all together, we were spinning wheels, right?
Yeah,
see if I'm happy and energetic. I'll try my best.
Yeah. For a Monday morning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit, Doctor, about the clinical impacts of these AEDs, if you wouldn't mind, here on Younger Life today, because this is truly important.
Well, first of all, I want to give credit where credit due. This is actually, this program is primarily been the result of the hard work of Dr. Sarah Bancroft, who's our medical director of sports medicine here at the hospital. Unfortunately, she was not able to be with us today. But most of the hard work, and she did an amazing amount of research and has put together large majority of this program. So I just want to make sure that we recognize the hard work that she's put in and the results of her efforts.
Yeah, it was very fascinating, all of the statistics and the slides and stuff. Like I said, I was there and watched it, and she definitely has put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that. It looks like, it's so important. And, you think we hear about athletes that do collapse, and we're talking high school, junior high, and the stories are devastating. And it was so interesting to me to be there and hear you speaking and hear Drew speaking, Mr. White, and find out not only are these being donated, as the partnership with the hospital, the foundation, and EMS, but I loved the fact that the EMS is plotting out where they are, where AEDs are in our community, and as well as tracking where the 911 calls related to cardiac events are. And like they're literally scanning, looking for holes, like looking for spaces where we do not have these available. So eventually this can grow to cover the county. And that is incredible. That's
Can you expand on that?
So important.
Doctor?
Yeah, so I'd like to backtrack, actually.
Sure,
There
please.
are basically sort of two arms of this program, and one of them we've just completed, or we'll have probably some ongoing work with distributing these to the schools. And my understanding from talking to both Dr. Bancroft and Maria is that was the result of a very tragic event. There was an event with a sudden cardiac death in a young athlete here in LaPorte, I believe in 2013. And after that, there was an effort made on the part of the cardiology department here and then also sports medicine to provide screenings in the community for risk factors for things that would lead to sudden cardiac death. After that, there was a speaker that was invited here, Dr. Richard Kovacs, who at the time was one of the lead cardiologists for the NFL. And his take-home message from that lecture was that optimally what you'd like to have is an AED within 90 seconds of an athlete playing or an athletic field. And so after that, Dr. Bancroft, she has the athletic trainers within the schools. They started looking for, where are these AEDs in our community? What kind are they? Who's trained to use them? And that's kind of where the start of the community-based or the school-based project that just resulted in the distribution of the AEDs started. So that's one part of the project, which I think will probably be ongoing. The second part of the project was outside of the schools, where else would these AEDs be of use? And so one of the things that you want to do is have them obviously in areas where there are large densities of people, large areas where these things could be put into use. And so one of the things that I did, actually, I had done some graduate work at Carnegie Mellon, and I had seen a project where they had worked with local EMS to map 911 data to figure out where to put these AEDs where they most likely would be of use, because again, they are a resource, and we want to put them into the hands of people that most need them.
Absolutely.
And so the second portion of this project we're working on right now is to work with Carnegie Mellon University and EMS here to use census data, actually publicly available data, to sort of use them as a benchmark for risk factors for cardiac events. So we're looking at things like smoking, male versus female distribution. There's a lot of really fascinating data that's available through the federal government that is free. It's all in aggregate form, nothing individualized, but it's very useful. And so we're working on basically taking these sort of indicators of cardiac risk and overlaying that with a map of where the AEDs are in our community. And then hopefully what we'll be able to do also is to get what's called a GIS map of our local community here as well, to note where there are high areas of population. And so when you combine those things, then we're hoping to have the ability to put these AEDs in the areas where they would be most of.
Right. No.
Did we lose her?
Yeah, we got her here. Hang on one second. Yeah, keep going, Doctor. We got you on the other line as well, so we're good to go.
So that's the second portion of the project.
Go ahead. We're listening.
We are working with Carnegie Mellon students, graduate students, to be able to complete that portion of the project.
I think that's the most fascinating part to me. I mean, I think that is just so important and affects so many. It's our entire community, the whole county that's affected by, just in case. You never know. And of course, no one wants these to be used, but in the event that it is you or your family member, you're going to be extremely grateful that those are available. I think that is just...
You brought up something to Mary that I thought was awesome when we had on Maria, and maybe the doctor can expand on this one a little bit too. People listening right now, texting, and folks wanting to know, okay, so these are out there. What a brilliant idea! Whoever came up with the concept to look at where the biggest areas are of need, basically,
right.
for lack of a better word. But then also, how do we work these contraptions?
Yeah, the training.
What is the training of does. And is it hard, doctor, or
No, these machines, actually Maria and I were kind of reminiscing when we were taking the break there. She was telling me that the first one they bought, it sounds like, was rather large. This was back in the late 1970s. And these that we gave out on May 4th are, oh my gosh, what do you think? Maybe about the size of a small purse. I mean, they're very tiny. They're very light.
Wow.
And they're very easy to use. That's one of the things when we talk with community members and community events, is not being intimidated of that and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this. You can. They're very easy to use. They when you open them up, typically there's a picture on the inside lid that shows you where to place the pads. The pads are
that's
large.
nice.
Angles are very easy to put on. And the machine tells you what to do. It literally talks you through how to use it. Again, it's very easy to use.
Wow.
As part of this project, one of the things that we've tried to do too is to somewhat standardize the AEDs that we are recommending that groups or that organizations buy. And the reason for that is because we try to make sure that those align or work with the AEDs, or excuse me, not the AEDs, the defibrillators that we have in the emergency room here at LaPorte, because a situation like that, time is obviously of the essence. And so we want to make sure that the hookups on the pads and things are compatible so that we can decrease response time in the emergency room
That's
as well.
That's a great point.
Out that equipment.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm curious to know, this is a strange question, I realize, but
no strange questions,
if
Mary
for
Anthony.
some reason someone tried to put them on someone and shock them, I think of kids. I know they shouldn't be able to just get to it, but whatever. If somehow they did and put them on someone, would that kill someone that was not in
what
cardiac?
Happens is the machine. So I'm just going to give you an example. So when you put the pads on someone, what happens is the machine actually does a reading, and it tells you whether or not there's a shockable rhythm. So it will only disperse or give out a shock if the rhythm is appropriate. For that in that situation.
So that's a built-in safety feature. I love that. I was concerned thinking, we need these readily available. I joked that after I came to the event where they handed them out and listened, I joked that I would like one I said, wow, it scares you so bad, it makes you want one at home, just in case. And then I said, my luck, I would have one locked up and my kids would be playing hospital and shock each other. and that would be such a fear, but I love that that's a built-in
safety. We've been very purposeful in terms of, where we place them, how they're stored. I was teasing. I said, when I worked in a clinic at one time, we always had a list at the end of the day of things to do. And one of the things was we fed the fish. And then we always checked the AED machine. Every night it was on the list, because you just want to make sure that the batteries are working and that the equipment is what you want it to be ready if, in the event that you need it. But again, the technology has come a long way. And again, I would just tell people, again, if you're in a situation where, someone needs that service, again, it's not something to be intimidated of. These machines are very easy to use. And again, the machine will literally talk you through how to use it. Obviously, we encourage people to become certified or get training on how to use them. I think that obviously is the optimal path that we like to take. And actually, the hospital does provide training to the community. And then also the athletic trainers provide training, as Maria had talked about.
That's a great point. Is that something someone could sign up for, like you would a CPR class?
Yep. Yes, there is a class that you can take that instructs you on how to use an AED.
I think that'd be awesome too. And are they going to have a list on YoungerLife? I'm sure we will about that, because I know we'll get folks asking about that, and I would assume you'd have to be.
Great idea. Yeah, I can ask Brendan to get the resources that we have here available and when those classes are offered. So
I think that's fantastic. I wanted to clarify something. I know Maria had indicated, as well as you did, the goal or the plan is to have an AED placed when we're talking a school setting within 90 seconds of a walk to get from a field or a court or anything like that. Is that a law, or is that just our goal, kind of our recommendation?
Yeah, that is again, I am not aware. There are laws, and it varies from state to state about where these things should be placed. But the 90-second walk was a recommendation that was made to us by a cardiologist, again, from the NFL. So this is kind of the gold standard. And so if we can, muster the resources to make those available.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. I just wasn't for sure if that was a law. I did hear in the ceremony itself that there was a new law passed in Indiana in the last few years that actually allows an athlete to be pulled out of a game if someone, the coach or someone, the trainer might be there, that actually sees if they think that they're showing signs of cardiac stress. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Which I think is a great point.
Yeah, it's kind of like the concussion law.
Yes.
Right. Concussion law, concussion recommendations that, based on symptoms that, someone there, would be able to remove an athlete from play based on that.
I think that is a great thing to bring up, because a lot of times a student too will say, "Oh, I'm fine." They think they're fine, but they really might not be. And if they are showing any of those symptoms, what could you tell us what a few of those symptoms might be, rather than just me guessing?
Again, someone might be feeling dizzy. They might be feeling lightheaded. Those types of things. Again, I think that there's been a lot more public awareness of this. Also, again, there's a lot of things in the news also about concussions in athletes. So again, I think there's just much more public awareness of these types of things, which is very helpful.
I think what you are all doing is absolutely wonderful, not only for our community, but you are truly saving lives. And just to hear the stories, it is just phenomenal. It's a feel good, but I got to tell you, it makes you feel safe. It makes you feel like there's something there for you.
To say yes to it's absolutely the right thing to do for the community. I think we were teasing. I think when this was presented to the foundation, I think it took us about 30 seconds to say yes, because again, this is the right thing to do, and it was very clearly the right thing to do. And again, Dr. Bancroft has done an incredible amount of research in terms of, again, trying to make sure that this resource is placed, where it most likely would be used, but also to make sure that the training piece, that the support piece is there as well. She's really done a great job. There's also been, we've been working with EMS to standardize the registration of the AEDs in the community. It's my understanding that now you can go on the EMS website and that there's a link there where you can, again, if you have these types of, if you have an AED, it, kind of talks about, what ones they recommend, again, for the reasons we talked about, and encourages you to register that so that, again, we can know where these resources are in our community. So in case they would have to be used, we know where they are.
It's a great point.
This would be great to have up on Younger Life too, all those things. And I would love to, this may sound a little goofy, but I would love to go there, because just the way Dr. Leva is describing, directions are there, very easy, very simple. Only if you have that particular, if it's showing that you actually need it, then it actually, quote unquote, works. It'll kind of kick in, for lack of a better word. I would love to look at this live.
I think it's very, very interesting, and I'm kind of curious the training aspect. Do you I keep picturing like CPR classes.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Do you actually train on a dummy, or is it just taking a look, like reading over the instructions, holding the pieces to just kind of understand?
Actually, it's part of a CPR class. I mean, it's
it is
taught in addition to sort of as an adjunct or as a portion of a Heart Saver course through. Most classes are through the American Heart Association, and so they actually have example AEDs. Obviously, they're not live; they're disabled, but they are AEDs, and you practice putting the pads on, and you practice using this in addition to CPR. And so it's I don't know if either of you have ever taken a CPR class, but it's very similar in terms of format to that. It's just that the AED is integrated into that curriculum.
I see. It's been a few years since I've taken a CPR class.
Now wait, didn't we have fun with the dummies?
Well, we did, but that wasn't a training course. Other than Sue Klebeck, who we love.
I love Sue.
Showed us. We were doing hands-only CPR on the little blow-up dummy, so it was a little bit different of a class. But I mean, she did show us, and we did click the clickers by making sure we were doing it correctly, and that was was interesting and a great.
So Dr. Leva just put us up to a challenge to take a CPR class.
Sure,
I'll take the challenge.
I think that's super.
I would challenge it. Again, I think it's a wonderful thing. It's one of those skills that you hope you never have to use, but boy, you could save somebody's life for being able to have those skills and knowing how to use that piece of equipment, I definitely think it's worth 4 hours of your time to
Absolutely.
Make that happen if you feel like it's something that works within your schedule.
Very
awesome.
Good. Thank
you so much, Dr. Leva. All right. Thank you. Awesome job.
Really.
Dr. Stacy Leva, just absolutely
fantastic.
phenomenal.
We love her anyway.
Absolutely
she's
great.
Such a great person, but and a great doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's she's such a great doctor, but in such a normal capacity where she doesn't make you feel like, oh, you should already know this. You know what I mean? I just love her.
I so
think
totally
she's
with
great.
you on this. She does a great job.
No, the AED thing was very fascinating, and I'm very glad I went. Just Mr. White's story alone was pretty compelling reason to do this. But it is good. It was a good show, important information to get out there, and not only that, I realize they don't do it for these reasons, but it's important that we recognize how amazing of the fact is that these entities are partnering to put these out there. I realize it is the right thing to do. That's why they're not looking for really the recognition, but it's important to say still. I think that's incredible. And it could be your child that's saved or my child that's saved. Or if it is in a store, once we get to that point, I can't imagine how grateful you would forever be to just have that there. Even if it is used that one time only forever.
I'm
Who
all
cares?
about it.
I think it's great. So,
all right, one of the things I want to throw out there,
very good information.
and thank you, by the way, for all that you have done, and thanks to Steve and Brendan and Maddie and
Dr.
Leva,
and Dr. Bancroft, Maria too. Yes,
all these people are just great folks. We absolutely love them. Okay, so Jackie had emailed us earlier on and said that the weather is putting a cramp on her challenge, but on the brighter side, she made the YoungerLife chicken salad, which I thought was yum. That's what she said. So that's
they
very,
have
very cool.
YoungerLife.org.
Yes,
has a whole thing on healthy recipes, and every recipe that I know that people have tried has been fantastic. So there's a few on there that I'm dying to make.
Absolutely agree. What would be the one that you would
the
like
mushrooms.
to try out?
They have a mushroom that just
a shroomy. Like what are you taking?
It's a
the
stuffed
caps?
mushroom. I'm going to actually tell you exactly what it's called. I'm going to pull it up.
You do that because one of the challenges that you had said to me about, and I'm just going to throw this out there because we're halfway through the 2-week challenge.
Yeah,
was the whole jump roping thing.
Yeah,
and I've been doing it religiously. I like
every day. Really?
Yeah.
I have slacked on my dancing. I do it for fun, but I don't like
You and your hubby aren't dancing every day.
Oh, I really dance with the kids. We just dance, even dance around like that, and I love that. I haven't. I was trying to do it on my Wii. There's a thing that you can.
Oh yeah, I know my daughter.
Okay, there's a dance game that you can actually called like Just Sweat.
Yes,
that's what it's called, and so it will play how many songs. So I was trying to do that every day. I haven't done that every day. I've done that a couple times, but more than that, we just cranked the radio and danced in the kitchen typically.
Okay.
But this is a veggie stuffed portobello mushrooms. Okay. The recipe that I might make this tonight. This looks
I just got that text, that ding here on Younger Life made the shrooms fabulous.
They look amazing.
Fabulous. Look at that,
oh, good. I might have to make those today. They just look so good.
What do you put inside of it, though? Are we talking meat?
This has one small yellow sweet pepper.
Okay.
A red pepper.
Sounds good.
Zucchini. Okay, so far all good.
I like it.
Carrot.
Love it.
Celery. Garlic.
Okay.
Olive oil.
Yeah.
Snipped fresh basil, which is one of my favorites. Wow. I love fresh basil. I literally could eat it on everything. I love it.
Really?
Lemon juice. Yeah, I love it. Baby spinach. Dry breadcrumbs. Parmesan cheese. Mushroom caps. And provolone. So yum on every one of those things.
Wow.
It just looks. They look.
That sounds heavenly right about now.
I know. I'm getting a little bit hungry right now. So
what's kind of interesting. Devin made over the weekend this salad that she threw in grilled chicken, the salad, but she put on there almost like a tomatoey type where she made it in olive oil, stirred it around. I know that she's used it to top off our zucchini spaghetti noodles.
Oh, okay.
So I know it's good for you because she's very into that whole, she's all into all these great Younger Life recipes. But anyway, something fun to try.
Absolutely. And they have all kinds of good things up here that look really yummy. So definitely. I love to hear when people try new stuff. It makes me then want to try something new.
All right, I just want to throw out there too, just so you know, here on Younger Life, we got about 30 seconds coming up later this week.
Well, it's Ask the Pharmacist.
Okay, that's
so this
gonna be
is
great.
Ask the Pharmacist on Thursday.
Awesome.
I do submit those to her. Those questions. I try to start compiling the list to submit any that might be a little bit out of the ordinary. Monday or Tuesday. So get us those questions if you have any. I still have some lingering that we haven't gotten to.
You see me smiling like a little boy because you know I'm going to be a dork and throw out different things like that. Someone just asked about that.
Yeah.
Someone was just saying, can I submit some questions? Absolutely.
Yep.
Please,
you can call us, email.
We would love that.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good.
You can send it off. On behalf of us at Younger Life, thanks to the whole tech team. You guys are absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
Thanks to Doc. Thanks to Maria. Thanks to Brendan. Thanks to Steve. Thanks to Jackie.
That's right.
Who sat and she's sitting in all week. Sanders is up.
Great.
She's smiling. I love her to pieces. And thanks to you for watching us here and listening to us. I'm Rick Federici.
I'm Mary Anthony.
AM 1420, WIMS, Michigan City, a Girard Media Company station.